Right, morning everyone. This is Mark Bowden who's speaking to us for 10 minutes today. Mark will keep you strictly to time and I'll give you a sort of 3-minute warning, okay? Not a 2-minute warning like that, but a 3-minute warning like that, okay? Welcome to Mark. He goes to the same business coaching group I do, run by Robin Waite. Andrew, it is an amazingly brilliant group if you want to have someone on an action coach give you inspiration. He's about 1/10 the price as well, but oh whoops, that slipped out. Mark has an amazing reputation within that group, so that's why we've invited her on. The title is Sales Automation for Dummies. So Mark, over to you. Off you go.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alan. Right, I show my screen. And I didn't write Sales Automation for Dummies on this page, so apologies. Can you all see that all right?
Yeah, perfect.
Good. I always like to double check because sometimes the screen sharing doesn't quite work. Okay, so thank you for that intro, Alan. So just before I dive in, I'll just give you a sort of 30 seconds on me, simply so that you don't think, who the hell is this clown and why does he think he can tell us anything useful? So I've got 27 years experience working around IT and process development in a range of businesses, so ranging from small health food shop through to running the commercial bank systems team for Lloyds Bank, so some quite varied experience. And I set up my business as a coach and consultant about 12 months ago. I don't know whether I'd done that if I'd known COVID was coming, but I didn't. So I thought, great, this is an opportunity to go ahead and do this and really just try to move out of doing this kind of for large companies and other people and help small business owners. Because what I'd come to realize was that there was an awful lot of the stuff that I'd spent a lot of years learning, which was very directly valuable to small businesses. So that's kind of my background in a brief nutshell. So I was going to talk to you about some automation. As Alan said, automation for dummies, but I don't want to suggest that you're all dummies. That would be terribly rude on my first meeting of all of you. So I just called it automation. But why bother? Okay, so if we think about sales automation, there's some sort of interesting stats here, right? So and you can use automation in loads of different places in your business, but 65% of the time any business dedicates to selling is actually not spent doing physical selling, right? Once you add up all of the admin and all of the stuff that goes around the edge of it, the average salesperson spends only about a third of their time actively actually selling, and everything else they do adds up. And that is a piece of work that came out of a study that Forbes conducted in 2020. So it's not kind of, 10-year-old research. And it just shows how many other tasks are kind of accrete around someone's role within a business. Now, obviously that's an average across all businesses and, your mileage may vary, but the fact that it's such a huge number itself tells a lot. There was a study done in 2014 to 2018 of 21,000 meetings that were set up. The study was done by a company called X.AI. And they discovered that on average it takes 8.02 emails backwards and forwards to set up an average meeting, which sounds extraordinary, but actually once someone gave me that stat and I started looking at my own kind of email tennis, I realized that it probably wasn't particularly extraordinary. And to compound the problem, study of appointments done by MIT, or part of MIT, they concluded they looked at 1,500 appointments across a range of different businesses and concluded that on average 14% of them were not actually kept for various reasons. So if you compound those two, what that means is actually the true number is it's something nearer 9.5 emails to actually just get some time in the diary. So if you think an email maybe say you can take 30 seconds or a minute to trot that out backwards and forwards, can you make Tuesday? No, what about Wednesday? Backwards and forwards. It doesn't take very long. Add that up and you think, okay, so maybe that's 5 or 10 minutes But if it's a 30-minute meeting and then you start rolling that up across the day, that's a big chunk of time that you potentially can be wasting. That's kind of one example of the sorts of tasks that can be relatively easily automated and can save a lot of effort in a business. And I'll talk a bit more about some further through the deck. But fundamentally, the graph on the right sort of shows the difference between really what computers are good at and what humans are good at. And the thing with automation is that it can undertake a repetitive task very repeatably, very predictably, and a lot faster than a human. And it doesn't get bored. It doesn't decide to go for a long lunch break. It doesn't get distracted by the phone ringing, and it doesn't miss key information because it just sort of hit the wrong button. Of course, if you set it up wrong, it just does the wrong thing really fast as well. So it does need a little care and attention. But it can also run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there's a kind of a perception around automation that actually, somehow, if you're using automation in your business, you're actually giving poorer customer service because you're not bothering to put your own time and effort into it. But the reality is, in the modern world, if someone's on their smartphone on a 10 p.m. on a Saturday night and they want to interact with your business, there's an expectation from most of them now that they will get some sort of response back pretty much instantly, right? And unless you're going to pay people to sit in the office at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night just to respond back to customer queries, actually having some automation in place that can close that loop, even if all it does is say, thanks for your inquiry, we'll come back to you on Monday, that reassures people, and actually that takes pressure off because it means they don't send in further repeat queries. And done right, what it can do is free up the people in your business from doing the mundane, the data entry, the copying and pasting, those sorts of things, in order to actually allow them to do more imaginative and higher quality work. But fundamentally, bottom of this page, the important thing here is to just think about the fact that your competitors are already using automation. Whether you like it or not, that is the reality. And if this was a long presentation, I could give you a litany of businesses that have disappeared over the years. I'm sure you'll have heard of a number of them. Blockbuster, Kodak are the ones that are often quoted. I quite often actually use Brighton's West Pier as a good example as well, because they failed to keep up with technology. Let's zip through three quick tips on things that you could all implement in your business quickly and easily today that would bring you some measure of automation. So the first one is some sort of diary automation. I'm talking here about Calendly. That's the easiest one to set up and therefore the most popular, but there are a number of others available, which I've sort of shown on this slide as well. Using a tool like this, you can put your diary up onto the internet. You can control the access to it. So if you want to have a public appointment, you can have that on your website, but you can just have an email link that you can share with people. And that will allow them to book in a time that is free for you and that they can then pick their own. So you just offload that whole 8 emails backwards and forwards straight away with a tool like this. Now, anyone here that's on Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Office 365 as it used to be known, you've already got a tool that does this for free. It's called Microsoft Bookings and it's built in. But any of the other three on this page, Calendly, Acuity or X.AI, are all similar tools and they will not cost you a huge amount of money. They've all got a free plan, but even if you need premium features like taking prepayment, you're looking at sort of £10 a month maximum, which you will potentially save in terms of revenue losses. I shall move forward in the interest of time. The next tool is kind of the Swiss Army knife of automation, but it's amazing for helping small businesses to automate things, is Zapier. And what Zapier does is allows you to hook any pair of applications together in your business with a sort of simple set of rules based on a trigger happens and then an event happens. So that might be something like you receive a new invoice into your email and it puts it straight into your accounting system. It might be that you trigger an invoice on your accounting system and it immediately then sets up a request for the customer to give you a review. It might be almost anything that you do in your business where something happens and as a result you do something else in either the same or more often a different application. And I'm just in the process of setting one up, for example, on my business, where when I get a new connection request in LinkedIn, it automatically logs that in a spreadsheet for me so that I can keep track. I see you waving, Ellen. I realise I have 3 minutes. It keeps track of the connection request for me so that I know if I've actually reached out to that person and engaged with them or not. There's over 2,000 different applications you can integrate it with, so it is the best known one. There are other tools that can do something similar. Again, if you're on Microsoft, you've got Power Automate that can sort of do the same thing, but it's not quite there yet. So these things are really good. They're no code, so they're easy to set up the rules, and they can just save you a huge amount of time. They just run 24 hours a day in the cloud. So my last one of my 3 tips is for anyone that is not on a CRM system, is get on one. But actually, specifically, what I'm recommending to people at the moment is the Zoho One package, which is an amazing package of software. Actually, it's 47 applications and it's £30 a month. So if you actually think about that, that's really quite good value for such a wide range of applications. But that suite includes CRM system that will allow you to track your customers and your leads through the sales process, which is obviously invaluable, and have some automation around that. It also includes an e-signing solution, so no more printing out contracts and signing them and sending them backwards and forwards. You can do it entirely electronically, which is also particularly useful, obviously, for people working from home. You don't always know they've got printing facilities. You can schedule your social media. That's an amazing time saver. You can have your whole week's social media set up on a Monday and just know it's going to come out at the right time. And there's various other things that you can bring in. It has got a tool that's like Zapier, but it's still at an early stage of development. So at the moment, I don't recommend switching right over to that. But it's a great tool and definitely worth a look for anyone who needs systems in their business. And keeping the pace going, I have one final slide. I just wanted to really quickly just talk about the stages of doing any automation or in fact any IT change successfully. And I always talk to people about this in terms of you've got to think about people, then process, then technology, do it in that order. Don't go find a piece of shiny tech and go buy it and implement it. You'll have loads of bits of software in your business and you won't quite know why you've got them all. Always think about, we think about, have we got the right culture in the organization? Well, you're the business leaders, so you can answer that one. But get your processes right, get them simple, repeatable, then you can outsource or you can automate, and you actually understand what you're doing in the right order, and then you can plan your tech to fit around it. And I think that's probably pretty much time.
Brilliant, lovely. Okay, I'm going to stop you sharing so we can see the whole screen.
Brilliant, thank you.
And we'll leave the recording on for questions because sometimes that's the most valuable bit. Any questions, peeps? Put your hand up if you have. V.
Yeah, just Mark, I mean, Zoho is brilliant. We've been using it for 3 years. We've got the same package and it integrates with Microsoft Office. So
yes,
every time somebody emails me or something, I think, oh, do I want to add that person to my CRM? I can just click add, put a bit of blurb on it, and it's done. It's an excellent package. We love using it, and we do everything that you've listed on your slide, apart from like scheduling and invoicing and things, but anything to do with email, sales, everything's done through Zoho. So yeah, definitely recommend it.
Brilliant. Well, if you've got it, I would certainly say look at the Zoho social aspect as well. It's such a time saver for social media. It'll post straight away to all your channels. Brilliant.
Yeah, we used to use, we were using HubSpot, but we cancelled HubSpot and it's now straight into Zoho.
Had the same journey myself.
Does Zoho have landing page facilities?
Yes, it does have. I haven't used them. I'll be honest, but it has replacements for the sorts of functionality you'd get in a tool like MailChimp or any of those. And one of the reasons I quite like it is that in theory you can get rid of quite a few subscriptions and really consolidate everything into one package. I'm not there yet, I'll be honest, because I do work for so many different clients with different software. I tend to have lots of, so although I tell people get the minimum number of bits of software, I almost have to be the opposite, because every client will have different sets of software and I kind of have to have a bit of all of it. So I'm still mine's a bit of a mishmash, but one day it will all be tidy in Zoho.
Yeah. Derek and then Fiona over the next questions.
Yeah, Mark, with the Zoho One, what sort of numbers of people can be linked into that? Would it be suitable for something like a company with a sales force and the individual sales people out there to be able to interact with it? The lead stack going through from the
it's all cloud based, so you can have as many users as you want. I mean, you pay per user with all of this software, right? So I think the standard package is £30 per user per month. But all of the users can have access to the entire application stack, or you can limit them. But in terms of accessibility, it's all cloud-based now. So everything's available to everyone. The difference I found between Zoho and HubSpot is HubSpot, the pricing kicks in depending on the number of contacts you've got in there, and it's dead cheap until you hit 1,000, and then it suddenly becomes excruciatingly expensive very, very quickly. Whereas Zoho is a kind of flat per user basis.
Fiona. Can't hear you, Fiona.
Sorry.
That's it. Good. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Sorry, my headset the battery was flat. That's really interesting, and I'm just wondering, if I were to go and buy one of those, where would you come in? How do you operate? What do you do in terms of coming alongside an organization?
Thank you. So I do a number of things for business owners. I mean, obviously, some people will have the technical skill and interest to just go out and buy those platforms and move on to them, and that's good. For some people, they will come to me and they will say, "I'm not very technically confident. Can you implement this for me?" In which case I would do all of that, and that would be the data migration and the configuration as well. But what I really try to do is actually get businesses to take a step back before you start buying things and understand your business as a set of processes. And there's a sort of longer version of what I did today, where that last slide really is probably 20 minutes in of itself, where I talk about the disciplines around understanding the process of your business, because that will tell you actually where you need to invest first, and it will make sure that you buy things that fit together. Because what you need to do is find the bits of your business where you've got manual bottlenecks occurring. There are some manual tasks in your business that are fine to be manual. So drawing up your social media posts, for example, if you take on more customers, you don't need to spend more time doing that. But if you're fulfilling orders manually and you suddenly want to grow your business, you need to hire more people. You need to think about, are there ways you can offload some of that work to some automation if you can't afford to do that. So taking that step back and planning it is usually a better strategy. And also look at what software you've already got in the organization. There's a few points in there where I've sort of said, if you've got Microsoft, you've already got bits of this. And that's the case almost on any application stack, right? If you're on Google, it'll be the same thing. There are already some tools you probably own and do some of this stuff. So think about whether you need to buy a second one before you do. And this is the mistake a lot of business owners make, is they see a tool, they think, great, I need that tool. They go buy the tool, but without understanding the kind of holistic landscape of their business and having an actual kind of technology roadmap to go with it. So what I ideally try to do is to help people actually start from that position, get a technology roadmap, understand their business as a set of systems, which can then be either given away to people to do manually or can be automated. And it's also helpful if you think about outsourcing, and then you build your technology correctly.
Thank you very much. And if a person had a sense of urgency with one of those aspects, would you do that in tandem, where you'd say, okay, let's nail this, but let's also take a step?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I appreciate, no business is going to sit still whilst it's got it's bleeding out in some way. It needs help. So I would always start with a discovery call, and if anyone wants to book one, you're very welcome. I'm sure Alan can share a link. And
I have reached out to connect with you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I saw you have. Thank you. And I'll drop you some details back in.
Can you just, because I was waving at you, could you just elucidate how Zoho or Zapier link to LinkedIn to automate the process, if at all, or is it your spreadsheet that it links to? Yeah,
so, I'm just trying to build one at the moment, and it's actually one that is a little bit of a challenge, if I'm honest, Alan, because LinkedIn changed when GDPR came in. LinkedIn basically freaked out and closed down their API, so that it was very difficult to access it. So I've had to be a little bit cunning about it, but anyone that's on LinkedIn will know that when you get a new LinkedIn connection, it likes to send you an email about it. So what I've done is I've hooked Zapier into my email to detect the arrival of that email, strip out the details I want, and then insert that into a spreadsheet with some dates for various follow-ups, which I can then either look at myself or I can get my VA to look at and say, right, here's the standard message that goes on, you know, I want you to send that message to someone to say thank you for connecting with me, or something else, or I can go in and look at it myself. So those sorts of things are kind of helpful ways that you can save time. And if you've got people doing stuff for you, it's about creating it. Again, it's that standard operating procedure, being able to give it over to a VA and say, you just need to go in here and do X, Y, Z, and actually you've presented a lot of the information for them unambiguously. So that's what I've been trying to build. But as I say, I've had to be a bit, sometimes you do have to think a bit laterally about these things, but there's nearly always a way to do most things. Robin Waite actually challenged me to see if I could recommend him a beer or something like that, and I managed to hook into the Brewdog API and have him, every time he gets a review, it recommends him a beer. So you know, most things are possible if you try hard enough. That's probably the weirdest automation I've ever done as well, actually.
Okay, lovely. Right. Okay.